Hello and welcome to AI Curious. My name is Jeff Wilser. I am a writer, I am a human, and I am curious about AI. And happy Thanksgiving weekend to those who celebrates. For this episode, we have two segments. In the second, we'll be speaking with Deniz Ozgur, who is a leading new voice in AI in both marketing and advertising, as well as fashion. She was named a Forbes 30 under 30 for her voice in retail and e-commerce, and she has super smart thoughts on marketing and AI and fashion. But before that, for our first segment, it is Thanksgiving. So we are turning to a dear friend who can give us some thoughts and perspective on gratitude and what Thanksgiving means. That, of course, is ChatGPT. So I have asked ChatGPT for a few thoughts on Thanksgiving. And in the first, I asked it, okay, ChatGPT, what are you thankful for? And frankly, it kind of underwhelms. It basically dodged the question and said that ChatGPT doesn't have any actual emotions, so there's really nothing. And it did acknowledge, though, that after reflecting on the concept of gratitude in the context of AI, it would be thankful, in theory, for three things: the richness of human knowledge and experience; secondly, the continuous advancements in technology; and thirdly, the global community of developers, users, and researchers. Very, very sweet. I then changed gears and asked it, okay, what are three things you think the average American should be thankful for, but takes for granted? And the three things that ChatGPT came back with are: one, access to information and technology; two, stable governance and rule of law; three, a diverse and rich cultural landscape. Okay. I also said, all right, now give us three goofy and weird things the average American doesn't often think about, but should be thankful for. And so ChatGPT came up with these three things that we all should be more thankful for. One, the variety of breakfast cereals. Secondly, squirrels in urban areas. So ChatGPT says, squirrels, those playful and ubiquitous inhabitants of American parks and backyards, add a touch of nature and whimsy to urban landscapes. Okay, fair enough. And thirdly, ChatGPT suggests we all be thankful for the convenience of drive-thrus. And finally, our last kind of block of AI injected Thanksgiving, we asked ChatGPT for three kind of relatively unknown yet interesting nuggets about Thanksgiving history. I also, as an aside, told it my prompt, don't make anything up. I said, if you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer, and that's fine. And for what it's worth, I have found it's helpful to avoid hallucinations, just to kind of tell it, don't hallucinate. Give me the facts. Don't make shit up. As silly as it sounds, I do think it's helpful in getting it to not make up garbage. So the three nuggets that ChatGPT gave us are: one, a woman helped make Thanksgiving a national holiday. So according to ChatGPT, Sarah Josepha Hale, the author of the nursery rhyme Mary Had a Little Lamb, played a pivotal role in making Thanksgiving a national holiday in the U.S. For 17 years, she wrote letters to 5 U.S. presidents: Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, one of the greats, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, and Abe Lincoln, advocating for a national day of thanks. Her persistence paid off when Lincoln finally declared Thanksgiving a national holiday in 1863 in the midst of a civil war in an effort to foster a sense of unity. Second, the first Thanksgiving menu was quite different. This, frankly, isn't that interesting. It goes on discussing the likely menu of wildfowl, venison, ducks, geese, and blah, blah, blah. But, whatever. Third grade stuff. And third, Thanksgiving used to be celebrated differently across the states. So before it became a national holiday, Thanksgiving was celebrated on different days and in various ways across the states. Some observed the holiday while others did not, and there was no uniform date. Frankly, I did not know that. So, and the AI says that this changed with Lincoln's proclamation, which set a national date for the holiday. However, even after the proclamation, it took years for the tradition to uniformly take hold across the country. All right, so thank you, ChatGPT, for our Thanksgiving themes. And now getting into the meat of our episode, a conversation with Deniz Ozgur, who is the co-founder of a fashion and AI company called Space Runners, and also a partner in an AI marketing and advertising firm called Evercopy. So Evercopy, this goal is effectively to do in-house with AI all of the types of things you used to have to outsource to a marketing firm. And as Deniz says, it kind of takes some of the human back and forth and inefficiencies out of the equation. So where you might have had to email back and forth in the past 5 times with your consultant in a marketing firm, here the AI can do things lickety split. She goes into what the AI can do at this stage, what it will do eventually, and what it still struggles with, and kind of gives a glimpse of the future of marketing. And I used to work a lot more in marketing back in the day, and specifically in customer relationship marketing and database marketing. And her main theme is that AI will help companies personalize and get more granular and sharpen and refine and personalize messages as opposed to a big globby message to everyone. AI will eventually be able to help subsegment and subsegments and give super personalized messages to all. That to me seems quite likely. I agree with that. We then get into a bit on the fashion front, and there's a similar theme. As Deniz will share, Space Runners is working with luxury and big brands to help them partner with you, users, to help you use AI to kind of marry your own creations and personalize with their brands. And so she has some thoughts of how fashion might evolve going forward with AI. So for anyone interested in marketing, advertising, fashion, and just in general, how AI can impact our lives going forward, please enjoy my conversation with Deniz Ozgur, co-founder of Space Runners and partner in the AI marketing and ad firm Evercopy. Deniz, welcome to the pod.
Hello, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So what is the goal of Evercopy? What does it do? Tell me about it.
This is something that we're exploring, but the mission that started a year ago was we were all struggling with marketing. Like honestly, like there's lots of marketing tools out there, as you know, and advertising is a place where people just spend money, just closing their eyes, just like throwing out money because they want their branding out, their message out. So that was with the AI. We were thinking that we may be in a position finally to actually like start from planning all the marketing campaigns and all the marketing strategies for the brands, and then executing them, creating the right content, personalized content in the multimedia format. So not just the text, but also images, videos, etc. And then sharing them on your digital channels, on brands channels, and finally optimizing them by using data.
I mean, that obviously sounds great. How does it work exactly?
So as you land into the platform, you are expected to provide your website as a minimum information. So when you provide, we get that product information, we get what you're doing, your market, your perfect audience, your logo, your branding, your colors, fonts, etc., everything. Like in terms of branding and context, we know what you're just doing like 90%. If you're a medical enterprise, basically, and if there's some like industry things that we don't know about. Like you can just upload those reports about your business.
Hmm.
If there's certificates, just upload them, throw them in there. If you have a partnership deck or a product or an investor deck, like throw everything in there. Like you are free to add all the materials about your branding, basically, for us to just absorb everything. And then once
So,
that's
so,
done,
so for instance, to your point, companies and bigger companies, especially, will have a whole like branding book, like literally like, a
yeah,
300 page book on our font is this. We use this size. Whenever, our copy looks like this, they have extremely exacting standards. You're saying they could upload that entire branding Bible, and then
yeah,
that kind of feeds and informs the AI, and then it can do its thing.
exactly. No, that's exactly how it works. Because the AI, when it comes to advertising, we are actually not just Midjourney, not just like Midjourney, Dali, or other things, which generally creates an arts, which is one layer. Like they bring everything into
Hmm.
one layer arts, and if you throw it to Photoshop, for example, you will see one layer, which is an art picture. In our case, this is a little different because we are first generating banners, which has several layers. So it has shapes, it has photos, it has slogan, logo is there. There is the call to action button. Like everything is actually quite base and layers. So what AI is doing in our case is just like creating these layers depending on your branding. So if you have 3 centimeters distance between your logo and the edge, we can give that. We can implement that easily with our AI. That's the difference. So that's for the banner generation. But there's also the second piece, which is quite important and competitive. Actually, the first in the market is the guerrilla ads creation. So whenever you see a Coca-Cola ads, for example, like you are looking at it and thinking like this is quite smart and it's just stick with you. So what we're
Hmm.
doing is that's
Hmm.
usually done with the marketing agencies. What we're doing is doing that at scale. So if you already personalized, I mean, you already added your branding to the website for any theme, like let's say if the Friday is coming and this is a post that will be on our Instagram today, like like you can celebrate Friday with a beer, for example. So if you're, a beer
Hmm.
company, basically you can create a post instantly that has minimum 3x more conversion from our experiments. So that's something else. But go
Well, can I give you a quick example just to kind of bring that point home? So, even for this podcast, right? AI
yeah.
Curious, my brand.
Mhm.
If I hear you right, I could feed Evercopy my logo, describe what the podcast is. The website I have is frankly pretty rudimentary, but it could ingest all of that stuff, and
You want
then
to give it a try? I mean,
maybe so, maybe so. But am I getting this right?
no,
But this is the right example of who is for, right? It's for like content
exactly.
creators. It's for small companies, and that
Mhm.
could then and it would literally say, "Cool for your AI curious Friday." Like it could suggest possible ad campaigns and clever, and I could tell it, I want something to be funny, something provocative. I want one to be like a kind of a extremely maybe even controversial? Can you kind of give it guidance of how to shade
Exactly.
these campaigns, and it will kind of give you suggestions?
Exactly. This is a part of the planning portion. So for any given team, depend based on your brand for any given team, we are actually creating the perfect audience, which is our AI persona finder. So creating that content accordingly. So it will already know the voice that will just convert. That's the beauty of it. So I really suggest we create some samples for the podcast title and I mean the cover and see if that's working. I mean, I really believe that would
Amazing,
be
amazing. It's
yeah.
as
Don't be easy
as
and
listeners
see
know,
it.
I did not break the bank on visuals and advertising yet. So so
Right.
this would so that there's a pretty low bar to clear for an improvement. But I would love to see that. So that'd be a
Okay.
fun experiment. No, but
Sure.
I'm joking, but I do think that's like this visual. I think this is useful for listeners. Think about, all right, who's using this kind of thing? How can it be actually concretely useful? And I do think widening the lens further, one reason why I'm excited to talk to you is I feel like the rubber's now hitting the road, right? You're an example of um, using AI to quote disrupt a very traditional industry. And that's often a cliche, but here it's happening, right? Like a year ago, when all the hype started, there was thoughts of, oh wow, AI can be used for this, and this. And like kind of transforming advertising is one of the off-cited applications. And for the most part, that was theoretical, and you're making it concrete. You're making it a reality. So I'm really curious to see kind of how it's working in practice.
I mean, we have started with personalization, but for the planning, for the execution and optimization stuff, let me maybe just give you some key, features on how we are planning to do it. So for the marketing planner, so basically this is just like Twitter. So basically Twitter asks like, what is going on with you today? Like, what do you want to share? So we ask the same question to brands. What is happening with your brands? So basically it's just, if you're a product person, you know when to release a product. So we need just that information. And once we have the date and the product details, and if you have some whatever like key highlights to mention in your event, we get all of these, and then we tell you, okay, like these are the channels that you should be using for this event and for your industry. And then for this channel, if you want to go with the paid advertisement, which is totally optional, if you have some budget, how many people do you want to outreach? Like 2,000? Okay, this is how much you should be spending. And then once you give
Mhm.
us your budget, we just allocate everything across channels. So this is how much you should be spending to Facebook, like and then
Hmm.
under those channels, there's also about like more information, more details, of course. Like for ads placement, just in Twitter, there's five different ad placement options. Like it can go under comments, it can go under feeds, etc. So there's more details. We do everything with AI. Lastly, we create the persona, which is the thing, I mean, the almost the most important thing that will tell us, okay, what should be the language. If that's enterprises, that's going to be serious. If not, we can just play around with it. So that's the planner. And then we execute, which is really about creating the content in a multimedia format and then distributing across all of your channels without you touching on anything. The last piece is, if we already connect your accounts, obviously we have your engagement data and we also know your website traffic. And there's also like more nuanced information, just like, heat maps, for example, like we know where people are looking at, or like
Hmm.
where they click. So it's actually I mean, I never seen data being efficiently used in marketing. Although it was like everybody speaks about it, all the platforms, but it's not a practical thing for everyone to apply, which is quite inefficient. So that's the last portion that we are doing to complete the full cycle. And yeah, hopefully it will disrupt the industry.
What have you found in that kind of chain that you've described? What is AI especially good at? And then we'll pivot to what has AI struggled with that you're still trying to work out the kinks for.
Yeah. I think it's really, I mean, compared to how we used to do it, just which takes as you were mentioning, like 2 days just to understand the branding or just define the branding or define the campaign or
Mhm.
do all these things. Just AI is amazing, understanding your whatever, like your context, your branding, your everything in just this. And then it's also very capable of creating not template based, but dynamic structures tailored for you and your needs. So it's just amazingly efficient, describing you, understanding you, and telling.
By sorry, Denise, by template structure, can you explain what you mean by that?
Of course, of course. So basically, on Facebook, for example, like if you want to give paid ads, and if you have a certain campaign in your head, so if you want to increase website traffic, for example, like the template is there, like the call to action, it's
Mm.
actually just pre-written. Everything is not specific to you. It doesn't just, it's not for you, like it doesn't in your language, it's not towards your audience, like such things. I mean, it's the same for everyone basically, is what I'm trying to say. With AI, it's more like we're getting all the
Hmm.
information. If you have some specific industry based information, I don't know, like technical stuff, it's just implementing everything in a click, which is quite fascinating. And people always say that, targeted ads work better, much better. So it's giving more and more details, it's including more details so that you get more out of your budget, which is quite, powerful when it comes to advertising. So once it understands your branding, so in space runners and in my like previous experience, basically it was always a problem. Even someone understands your branding, understanding the customer or whoever the person that you're speaking to, that was another challenge. So basically, what we're doing with the operator piece, the second piece of our AI, if you connect your accounts, if you know your branding, we can just auto engage with potential influencers, trending posts, and potential
Hmm.
users without using your voice. So it's just like starting a conversation between the end user and your brand, which is only this is what I meant with templates. Like with the with today's tools, basically there's no such thing as just creating to create that communication. It's usually just shouting out your brand, shouting out your advertisement to everyone, which is not people are looking for, especially Gen Z and
Hmm.
the younger generation. They want something more personalized and special for them. So the data was there, but without the AI, it wasn't really flexible in terms of doing your ads for the brands.
Let me take a stab at clarifying one point there. And this is super interesting. Is the idea that, let's say you have like most large businesses, especially, they slice and dice their customer base, right? They have like
Mhm.
maybe a million customers, 10 million, whatever, and they do things like they segment these customers, right? They say like a very basic segmentation is kind of slicing it by how much revenue they spend. And our top 10% of customers, they gave women treatments, and the bottom 10% they spend less money on, right? But there are a million ways you can slice and dice customers, and you can get super sophisticated and have very small little clusters and clumps of customers. And
Mhm.
the reality is that sounds great in the current world, but it's very expensive and complicated and time consuming to create lots of different marketing treatments. If you have like 37 different customer segments,
Exactly.
that might require 37 campaigns. That takes a team of marketing people. That takes a whole division, perhaps. And it's just too costly to do. Whereas with AI, you could effectively automate or quasi automate a lot of this. And it could, by understanding and deeply understanding the brands, it
Mhm.
and these different customer bases. And also, by the way, it might even be able to refine your customer segmentation and say, instead of 37 segments, there's actually 3,700 segments. I'm going crazy here. And
Yeah.
then it could create hyper targeted, personalized messages for each of these 3,700 segments and keep track of all of it so that your end customer, they get something that's more appropriate for them. Am I getting that right?
That's the perfect summary. So basically, as you can define more segments, which are also dynamic, because there's lots of moving data. So if I'm tweeting like about a deodorant today, that's a new information for me. So if you're a
Hmm.
pharmaceutical company that works for me before and you get the information, it's not just hard to identify that I'm speaking about it, but also it's hard to just create a content, just share it with me if that's on email or if that's whatever, so to make it like truly personalized. Um,
Hmm.
People have like especially the bigger enterprise. This is not a question for startup. Obviously, they have other problems, but in terms
Right.
of if for the bigger enterprises, if they're speaking for more return of investment or more efficiency in terms of, I mean, that's where they are gonna go. More personalization, and for the platforms as well. Like in our advisory board, we have some industry leaders from Amazon, Google, Meta, and Snapchat, like all the social platforms that who loved the idea, and all they were saying, even within their platform, if there is a way to give people more chance of personalization, of obviously the return of investment will also increase, and that's their main goal. I mean, because the majority
Hmm.
of their revenue is still coming from advertising. So that's where they want to just fine tune and improve, because yeah, enterprises also love that.
Back to kind of where we are today. And I know that that's a very compelling future, but there's still, I'm
Mhm.
guessing, kind of wrinkles to iron out. There's still glitches. What, in your experience so far, has AI struggled with? Well, you're like, ah, geez, we want it to do this, but it still gets this wrong at times. Humans have to intervene. Where do you
Mhm.
still seeing some kind of gaps that have to be filled?
That's why we created Evercopy, because without a plan or without knowing your brand or without getting all the information, it's actually just very repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
There is no ambition for more conversion or understanding of what goes on social media without any social listening. It's just lacking that context because it's not up to date. You need to feed that with real time data, and
Mm-hmm.
that creates dependency to the external platforms, and someone needs to just attach everything and make sure that everything speaks with each other with right prompts and more custom prompts that is just for advertising basically. So this was something that motivated us to come up with Evercopy. Outside of it, even with Evercopy, there is still some space to evolve and develop in terms of especially for the visual creation. So for the image ones, we are working with layers as I was mentioning. But for the guerrilla marketing, for example, it sometimes misunderstands your logo. Sometimes the slogan is just writing is not there, and for video it's even worse. So right now it's just for
Hmm.
experimentation at this point. Like video, I mean, we all see the videos on social media that is created with AI, and obviously not only advertising sector but also like movie entertainment. Like I was just talking to my co-founder today. Probably like Netflix will be just making everything personalized at some point. Personalized contents created just for you, for your mood, and created instantly. And until then, and obviously a similar transformation will go on in advertising. Currently, that's not something that we are capable of. Like creating a teaser, product teaser or company teaser or something like a TikTok for your brand, uh, just for the advertising. That's not possible. So that's where we are lacking currently.
How about extremely high level marketing concepts, such as a bold new campaign or strategy, like going back to iconic stuff like Nike's "Just Do It," right, or Snickers, "Gonna Be a While," right? Fairly kind of clever, catchy, almost foundational campaigns that then drive years and years of follow up riffs. Is it able to do that now? And then, if not, when do you think that will be on the menu of the kind of things AI can do?
I would say that's already on the menu. Turning that into visual, that's the problematic part. But finding the perfect message for the audience in a great hook, like very engaging, to the point, very brief, robust, like all these things, because it's really about advertising has its own dynamics. Like it's based in human psychology in terms of creating marketing, especially. It's based in there's some best practices and some very like clear examples from the real world, like Coca-Cola, Nike, not Nike as you were mentioning. So it
Hmm.
has that information right there and it's already being feeded. But turning that into visual, that's something else. The thing that we are currently lacking is just having that slogan properly written on the visual. Sometimes it gives very successful results. Sometimes it's way too cartoonish. Sometimes it's just missing your style.
What do you see as the future of visual ads?
That's ongoing discussion that we are having with all of our advisors. So currently, of course, as you can guess, for the advertising, since the majority of the revenue comes from advertising for all of the big, technology companies, Google, I don't know, Meta, like it's everyone basically. So they're working on that. What they are experimenting on is to make it a dynamic relationship between brands and user. As I was mentioning, that engagement has to be truly personalized. So
Hmm.
one side should be creating contents at scale without losing the brand voice and the messaging, and on the one side, now we can do a little targeting. Like if you're doing a paid ads, you can choose, okay, I am targeting people from US less than 20 years old, like female, etc, etc. Like you can make all these selections. But creating the content and doing A/B testing at scale, that's something else that's not currently supported. So that means that in YouTube, for example, you'll be seeing thumbnails just for yourself. I will be seeing something
Hmm.
else for the same video. That means just that. Um, and yeah, that's the future of advertising.
It reminds me of that scene in Minority Report where Tom Cruise walks into a mall and everything is like focused directly at him,
Mm.
right? They're mentioning,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
calling him out
exactly.
by name. saying so. It's and I guess depending upon your perspective, that could be dystopia or very positive future, or I'm sure there's shades in between. Denise, your background is fascinating in that you've co-founded not one but two AI startups. So we've been focused on advertising. I'd love to hear your thoughts on AI and fashion, given that you launched Space Runners. Tell us a bit about what Space Runners is and what your goals are for it.
So we have created this AI powered fashion design tool for mainly for brands to enable their customers to co-create with them. This was to change the kind of to break the walls, because that was something that we were doing with metaverse as well, like breaking the walls between brands and the end customer, basically to
Hmm.
make them engage in new ways. So basically, in a similar manner with Ablo, with our AI design tool, Ablo is aiming to just put yourself in the designer's position and make you closer with the brand, so you still have the branding, but you can just add your own name here, or if you have something special in mind that you want to gift that to. Or uh, one exploration is if you have some loved ones that you lost, for example, if there are themes that you want to remember always, so you can place a QR code with the arts around it, and if you just scan it, you can just like, be directed to a drive file with all the photos and everything, so everyone can add stuff. Same thing in the sports too. So if you are wearing a jersey, for example, you can put a
Hmm.
QR code, and art can come on top, so that the fans can share an album, or they can share the best moments, etc. Like all these things to bring people closer together, with the brands as well, like end customers closer with each other and closer with brands.
And there's also the
Is
theme is of it's this common theme with Evercopy of personalization, right? The idea
Yeah,
is letting,
exactly.
as opposed to a off the shelf one size fits all, whether it's a luxury sweater
Yeah,
or a banner ad, it's using AI to help people get more personalized. Am I
exactly.
getting that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah,
Where are
exactly.
you in the timeline of all of this for Space Runners?
Space Runners have launched Oblo just a few weeks ago, actually, and we are actually preparing for a drop with Balmain in November 30, which will be on their Atlanta store. Um, they will be there. I just don't want to pronounce it because that's going to be a surprise. But there will be a
Sure.
sneaker designer, very well known. And if you go to the Atlanta store, you'll be choosing one of the unicorns, for example. You'll be creating it with AI, and then the sneaker designer will just paint the entire thing for you. So that's going to be completely custom. So that's one thing. And then there's a sports brand as well. That's why I was mentioning jerseys, because they were super interested, turning like, I'm a fan of Manchester City, so
Uh huh.
turning the Manchester City jersey to a shared album for the fans to just in the match, so that they can speak to each other and just engage with each other. So that's an ongoing thing. So that's launched to your question.
Interesting. More generally, how do you see AI impacting fashion in the future? Prediction or two.
So there is always this expectation of wearing one uniform in the future, in a dystopic
Hmm.
world where, like,
Right.
everybody's going to space and we are all in gray and stuff. I don't think that's going to be the case, because it's
That's a good
I
point.
mean,
Yeah, it's true. Why does every movie have us wearing this very
yeah, I
fitted,
know.
like
Super
shiny
ugly
gray
stuff.
uniforms? That's a great point.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I don't know. Like, it looks like we will be losing color, or like ideas. Like we will be robots, basically. That's what they are trying to emphasize. But I think like manufacturing costs are decreasing. Everything is more at scale. I don't see a reason why we just don't wear what we design, which is something that will stick with us. And of course, with Space Runners, we are also like building digital stuff, digital wearables, which is completely a different concept, but still having something that will stick with you is the idea, and that's true personalization in our opinion. And looks like surprising. I'm even like surprised even today that even the luxury brands are not scared of losing I mean, of course they are. They want to protect their legacy, but they're also open to just leave room to the final customer to do something with their clothing.
Right.
That
Well,
which
I'm glad you mentioned that. How do you? I'm guessing. Obviously, as anyone who knows me in real life knows, I'm not a fashion guy. But one thing I'd be curious about is how do, especially the luxury brands, or even probably most fashion brands, even like the Gap has certain standards, right? And if I personally try to inject my little creative flourish
yeah.
on even the Gap, but it looks so stupid because I'm, let's say, the worst drawer ever, right? Or if I do something juvenile, if I do something trolling, if I use profanity or a middle finger or whatever, something like that, that like butchers the brands,
Mhm.
they're not happy about that. So how are brands thinking about guardrails and issues of brand integrity and IP preservation?
Of course, that's the first concern that comes from them, and the second is about the user experience and whether that their like luxury consumers will take the technology as a good thing.
Hmm.
And for the first concern, of course, there's with personalization comes the possibility of having those kind of things. The first thing is, of course, applying filters is a solution. So
Hmm.
whenever we realize that you're putting something that is not appropriate or which is gonna, which is gonna hurt the brand, obviously we are not allowing. Like there's certain level of filtration in terms of what you can put on the brand, and some brands are limiting where you can put the design. So basically, if I have the logo here, I cannot put anything on top. So I just can just work around here, which is empty,
Mm.
or maybe the back. So there's some kind of like placement limitations that are applied. Plus, you can, as the brand, as the final brand, can also create a custom style that will be applied, whatever you type. So if, for example, for Balmain case, they do have a Renaissance style. So whatever you, I mean, if you go to their Instagram, everything will be just like using their like Renaissance colors and styles and everything. So whatever you, even if you write a pen, you know that it will be on the Renaissance style. And yeah, that, like you can limit users, but of course this is not something that we recommend. But luxury brands can
Right.
just have that luxury
Right.
to put the limits. So
Gotcha. Last couple of questions as we wrap up here. What are some other predictions for overall, whatever industry, whatever vertical, for AI in the future?
I was watching an interview with between the mayor of England and Elon Musk this week, and mayor of England was asking like, are we gonna lose our jobs? Like, is it gonna just replace everything? Or should we be scared? And Elon Musk was just, of course, he's always super surprising, and he was just saying it's gonna replace everything. Like it's just we don't need people. So I, of course, I'm not. I mean, with advertising and stuff, I know that I kind of sound a little dystopian sometimes. Sound like I'm supporting, and all of my peers as well. Like I'm 25. So there's I just don't want to be, dragging people to that, future by building all these things. But someone is going to
Hmm.
build. It's really up to
Hmm.
us to just decide where it really goes. But the technology will be enough to just do everything, like from creation. I'm not. I mean, I just don't want to lie here and say creative effect of human will just be very necessary. It's just going to replace that. I'm sorry, but this is what I'm seeing from all the experiments and all the R&D work, which is kind of exciting because I think people are stuck with certain routine tasks
Hmm.
that is just killing the real creativity. Um, so what I'm saying is, for example, for the marketing task, like no one should be actually. I know the transformation will be tough because many people are spending. I mean, that's how they earn money, and that's totally something I respect.
Hmm.
But also for the better version of ourselves, for the evolution, like whatever you call it, um, I feel like people should not be spending time on, like scheduling posts on social media or creating the perfect content. They
Hmm.
should just leverage data with closed eyes. or I shouldn't be spending um, time to actually become a fashion designer, because that's not my goal. Like if I want to be designing my t-shirt for my company, it shouldn't be taking, it shouldn't be that inefficient. I think the most of the economy right now is just because of those inefficiencies. And again, something that I respect, but I believe AI will just make it super efficient so that humans will finally focus on planet discoveries, or I don't know, species discoveries, like more communication with other species, like something that is kind of scary, I can admit, but also exciting. And this has to happen, supposed to happen. So yeah, that excites me.
So, on a far more mundane and less serious note, let's close by hearing a bit about how you use AI in your own life.
I mean, professionally, I guess it replaced Google for me. Whenever I search for something, I usually use that. I just for fun sometimes create creative ads. Sometimes just for fun, because I like the spirit. I like great code. So out of profession as well, just for like my own fun, I use that. Um, I use AI mostly to just show where the technology is at, with my to my parents, basically, to
Mm-hmm.
my sister who is just a non-techie person, just to and they act like they're just the first human. So but they ask these stupid questions about their boyfriends, and I mean my sister especially. So and my mom about how to cook something. It's just like super super beginner questions, but still it's so fun to watch them discover stuff, and uh, try to catch. Yeah, that's just I think that's the most fun that I'm getting from AI today.
Love that. Love that. I think it's a fun note to end on. Deniz, thank you so much. Really enjoyed the conversation. Best of luck to you and Space Runners and Evercopy.
Thank you so much for having me. It was super fun, Jeff. Nice to know you.
So there you have it. Thanks so much again to Deniz Ozgur. And thank you, especially on this Thanksgiving weekend. I am super thankful to listeners who have been enjoying the podcast, who have shared the feedback with me. We have some exciting things in the future for how this podcast will evolve. I am enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying kind of help scratching the itch of my curiosity. I hope you are learning as well and enjoying the ride. You know what? Because of Thanksgiving, I will skip the usual message of download, subscribe, rate it, all that stuff. Thank you so much again, and see you next time.